Rami expecting a video. Hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe button, as that would be deeply appreciated. Share the video to a friend who likes this, or just anime content in general. And with that being said, we can now begin the video. Side note, I didn't think I'd have to be bringing this up, but naturally my voice lacks optimism. This is important just to say that no, I do not sound depressed in every video. It's just kind of how my voice sounds when I'm recording stuff like this. I don't know, when I'm not recording stuff like this, my voice isn't this like kind of tone. I don't know how to show you guys because I'm recording something, but I just wanted to make it really clear that I'm overall like content with life and I'm not depressed. I just got a couple comments about that, and yeah, anyways, back to the video. We left off with Naruto Uzumaki using a lightning style and fire style combination technique on 𝘾𝙗𝙗, but this technique wouldn't work due to the fact that 𝘾𝙗𝙗 had activated stage 1 of the curse mark, amping his power by 10-fold. Naruto Uzumaki. These words were said by 𝘾𝙗𝙗, to be clear. I'll save you the trouble and end your life as fast as I can. It would be here that 𝘾𝙗𝙗 would not start with just the stage 1 of the curse mark, but instead he would activate his full curse mark, amping his body by 100-fold. He would then pull out his collarbone, using it as a sword, as Naruto would see Hinata and Sasuke both being able to barely keep up with the other 4 members of the Sound 5, as it was basically a 2v1 against each of them. Sasuke would then be injured by Orochimaru's snake bite, as he decided to finally place the curse mark on a young Sasuke. Hinata would also happen to be bitten by Orochimaru, falling to the ground in pain, as Naruto would then close his eyes and reopen them. It was unclear why Orochimaru did this to Hinata, because obviously we know why he did to Sasuke, but it should also be made clear that Orochimaru did see Hinata use, well, snakes, and watch snakes come out from, well, her sleeves, and so he was generally curious about the young Hyuga. With that being said, a tight, celestial-like aura would then induce Naruto, as his eyes had rolled back into his head, rushing at 𝘾𝙗𝙗 and windmill kicking him, knocking out a few teeth and making him bleed from his mouth. Naruto would then activate his dark and light Kuroime, using Earth Style to lift 𝘾𝙗𝙗, pounding his stomach as he then jumped as high as he could, bringing down his foot and Black Air Force stomping 𝘾𝙗𝙗. Now you might call it overkill that he has basically tapped into his hidden darkness power, but it's really not. 𝘾𝙗𝙗 was able to keep up with Naruto in his Curse Mark 1 form, let alone now that he's amped his body by not 10-fold, but now 100-fold. It would be here that Naruto has now left 𝘾𝙗𝙗 with internal bleeding, as Naruto would then blitz to Yuya, seeing her as trouble with her genjutsu and all. It would be here that he would strip her head from her body. Now that is very dark sounding, but this is a very dark Naruto at this point, because he has yet to learn how to control the dark and light Kuroime at the same time, and in this instance he's actually doing it on purpose so that he can get the amp from it. It would be here that Naruto would start bursting into laughter. He hadn't had a true fight since the Land of Waves, and his occasional all-out spar with Sasuke going for the kill. Naruto would then be targeted by Kidomaru with a spider arrow. Naruto would look at this arrow, and then at Orochimaru, Jirobo, Yukon, and Sakon, who had all activated their curse marks except for Orochimaru, who doesn't really have one. And they had activated Jutsu. Naruto would see this as he would duck under the arrow, grabbing it mid-air and throwing it at Jirobo, who would fall to the ground before he could cast his Earth-style jutsu. Naruto would then run up on Jirobo, grabbing his hair and lifting him up into the air, as he would throw the big Jirobo into a tree. It would be here that Jirobo tanked this attack, as they all in unison activated their full curse marks. I'm not sure why I said big Jirobo. That was not to fat shame him, just so that's clear. It would be here that they would all activate their stage 2 of their curse marks. Naruto would then start to battle all 5 of them at once, including Orochimaru, who would be shocked at Naruto's power. So much so that he backed away from the fight, although Naruto kept an eye on him the whole time, as it seemed as if he was summoning a jutsu, possibly a summoning style jutsu as well. It was taking incredibly long for this jutsu to activate. Whilst fighting the rest of the Sound Five, he realized that 3 coffins would begin to emerge from the ground, with Naruto throwing a few shuriken at them and paper bombs. With that being said, his few shuriken would stop the coffins in place, as one of the coffins would still open, revealing the first Hokage, and another would also open, revealing the second Hokage. It would be here that, of course, Hashirama and Tobirama would begin to fight Naruto, as Naruto would start to be overwhelmed by their combined efforts. Yeah, Naruto is hell of a lot stronger even with his, what we'll call his celestial form, but there is nothing he's going to do against 3 Sound 5 members that are amped by the curse mark in its second stage, plus 𝘾𝙗, if you count him in the Sound 5, then that's 4 Sound 5 members, and also Orochimaru himself, plus the first and second Hokage, even if you want to say that they're not in their full form due to the fact that they've been reincarnated and they're just not at full power. It's too much for Naruto, and it would begin to overwhelm him. Naruto's back was now pushed up against the wall, and he was being overwhelmed by their combined efforts, as Naruto would start to get stronger while the fight went on, slowly adapting and gaining the upper hand, even against, well, all of them. Sasuke and Hinata would then wake up from their unconscious states, as they would get up dazed, but still up, with a purple chakra surrounding them and the black marks of the curse mark now on their body. With this newfound power and, well, also newfound rage and bloodlust, they would aid Naruto, being able to help him, even taking out Jirobo and Kidomaru quite quickly, might I add, as they would then pour their chakra into Naruto's body. It was as if it felt natural to them, as if Naruto was absorbing the natural energy around him. And he was. It had seemed that a part of the reason why this form was so powerful was because Naruto would just take in nature energy. And, well, since the curse mark is made up of nature energy, it felt natural to give Naruto a helping hand and lend Naruto their curse mark and their curse mark chakra. Naruto would then fall on one knee, and his nose would start to bleed. He had overdone it. He had taken on too much power, as Yukon and Sakon would then start to merge with Naruto's body. Hinata and Sasuke could do nothing, as the pain of the curse mark now kept them immobile, as Naruto would immediately pull out his short sword, preparing to stab himself, and possibly even end his own life. It would be here that he stabbed himself, forcing them out and slowly killing them, as Naruto had now managed to hit them, and they believed that Naruto would not hurt himself, but Naruto just saw it as common knowledge, or rather, natural knowledge. Common sense, even, if you will. That if they were merging with his body and they were merging with his shoulder, then he would have to stab his shoulder, and that would in turn hurt them. And if it hurt them more than it hurt him, then they would have to leave his body, or the jutsu would be very, very dumb if they could not leave his body. With that being said, Naruto would then fight Orochimaru and 𝘾𝙗 with the aid of Sasuke and Hinata, who had now figured out a way to fight through the pain of the curse mark. It would be here that he would also be aided by the Kyuubi's chakra, as Anbu would arrive on the scene, chasing Orochimaru, who fled the scene of battle, not wanting to be injured further, as 𝘾𝙗 would fall close behind Orochimaru, but Naruto would then use his celestial form, briefly blitzing 𝘾𝙗 and forcing him to fight. Naruto didn't know this, but he had sped up 𝘾𝙗's illness by a great deal, as Naruto would then be judo slammed to the ground, coughing up blood and now looking at 𝘾𝙗, who immediately jumped down, trying to attack him with a bone sword. Naruto rolled out of the way, as 𝘾𝙗's bone sword was now stuck in the ground, pulling it out and jumping up. It would be here that Naruto would charge all of his chakra into his hand, as 𝘾𝙗 would then use the Bracken Dance technique on Naruto, who couldn't react to the unique and unorthodox fighting style. Naruto realized that the first and second Hokage were still there, but they weren't moving for some reason. It was as if they hadn't yet to be activated. He would then use his bone burial technique, turning his hand into a drill sword, ready to kill Naruto right there and then, as everything became bones. Naruto was only alive now because, well, his celestial aura had protected him from the bones beneath his feet. As for Hinata and Sasuke, they had been able to, well, outblitz the attack and, well, just get away. But they were still watching from above some trees, realizing that Naruto had undertaken a transformation that they had assumed was what he used to protect them back in the Land of Waves. Like I said, Naruto couldn't react to the unique and unorthodox fighting style of 𝘾𝙗, as, well, the bone burial technique had now been activated. 𝘾𝙗 was ready to kill Naruto, and he was ready to put his life on the line to do so. 𝘾𝙗 then fell to the ground, falling onto Naruto's shoulder before he got the chance to stab him. And when I say he was centimeters away, he was centimeters away, inches away from killing Naruto and stabbing his blade right through his heart, stabbing his bone drill right through his heart. But he couldn't. His body gave in, and even though his will was as strong as iron, he couldn't. His body didn't cooperate with him, and, well, it failed him. His body failed him, as he fell to the ground, falling onto Naruto's shoulder. What's wrong with you? What is this illness? You are a formidable opponent, Uzumaki Naruto. And I wouldn't have wanted to risk my life killing anyone else. Coughing up even more blood, as 𝘾𝙗 would die here, on his deathbed. Naruto would then get up, unsheathing his sword and stabbing it into 𝘾𝙗 as blood spurted from the wound. Naruto would then put this blood in a vial as the Anbu would lose Orochimaru's track. Now, you may think that this is weird, that Naruto stabbed 𝘾𝙗 even after 𝘾𝙗 was clearly now dead, but he did it for two reasons. First, he needed 𝘾𝙗's blood for something that will be explained later, but second, he did it to honor 𝘾𝙗. No ninja wants to die because their body failed them, so if they are going to die, Naruto wanted it to be in the heart of battle, where he was killed by someone and not by himself. Dying because your body failed you is just as bad as killing yourself in Naruto's eyes, taking your own life through seppuku. With that, Naruto whispered to a dying 𝘾𝙗 that he was glad they got to fight, and that he has never seen someone with so much talent. Naruto, Sasuke, and Hinata would then be taken to the hospital for their wounds, all in critical condition, as Naruto would then stand up, using the Nine-Tails chakra mixed with his Uzumaki healing regen to quickly heal himself. It would be here that he would spread the Nine-Tails chakra to Sasuke and Hinata to heal them as well. For some reason, the Nine-Tails hadn't rejected their chakras, as he and his team would prepare for the exams. This didn't mean that they were going to just regen and go after Orochimaru. It meant that they were able to heal up enough so that they would actually be able to go to the preliminaries and still, well, go to the Chunin exams. It would be here that Naruto would defeat Kiba with ease, and so would Sasuke and Hinata with their battles, as Hinata would then beat Neji, as she has trained with the likes of many skilled ninja for a whole month to catch up to Sasuke and Naruto, and Neji is no Sasuke or Naruto. Now, this is a fight that I really wanted to cover, but it's a fight that I feel like I had no right to cover, because there's a better fight coming up. For the purpose of this video, we'll keep it somewhat to the canon, so that Gaara vs Sasuke is still the last fight. So instead, it begins with Hinata versus Naruto, instead of Naruto versus Neji. Hinata and Naruto began talking with one another as the Chunin exams has now began for their matchup. Hinata made it explicitly clear that she didn't want Naruto to hold back, no matter what. No matter how badly he ended up hurting her. She knew that she needed to get better, and that wouldn't happen if Naruto was always treating her like some little village girl. And so they commenced battle, and surprisingly, Hinata was able to gain the upper hand early on throughout the battle, shutting off Naruto's chakra points, which made it so he was unable to use jutsu or chakra-based attacks, which forced him to have a battle of attrition with the young Hyuga Hinata. The problem for Naruto here was that Hinata had trained in taijutsu with her gentle fist for years and years and years of her life. Almost her whole life she has been training in the arts of the Hyuga clan and taijutsu. And although Hinata, who had nothing close to the amount of stamina as Naruto, she was still able to keep up and, well, injure him to a point where he was now bleeding. She would use attacks to create separation so that Naruto could only land half the amount of punches, kicks, jabs, etc. on her. With that, the battle would span on for some time, and, well, the people in the stands were elated by the battle. They didn't know who would win, girl or boy, Hyuga or the demon child. It would be here that, well, the curse mark on Hinata began to slowly activate. Hinata didn't want it to activate, as she knew that the chakra strain on her would be too much for her to handle. But it wasn't her choice. It was the curse mark, and she had no real control over it at this point in time. But it did help Hinata. It gave her more strength, which surprised Naruto. She was not only able to compete with him, but on some attacks, she was getting the better of him. Eventually, the curse mark started eating away at her chakra levels and became a detriment more than anything, causing Naruto to realize that the curse mark was the root of this, and that Orochimaru had left on her a cursed seal. Naruto grit his teeth, which he now knew that Sasuke also had one of these things. But he would continue to fight Hinata. He didn't want her to think that he was holding back for any reason. And if he randomly paused to examine what was happening to Hinata and got hit, then Hinata would see it as Naruto not holding up his end of their deal and, well, not keeping his word. Their battle would slowly come to an end as Naruto didn't want to win just because Hinata was too tired. And so he would lower his guard, just enough to the point where he could get hit, but not enough so that it looked obvious that, well, he was lowering his guard, even to Hinata, whose eyes were focused on every small movement that Naruto had made. He then received an uppercut as Naruto would allow himself to be sent flying into the wall of the arena. Hinata Hyuga was not yet declared the winner. And so, Hinata would throw a paper bomb into the smoke created by the blast, which created even more smoke. Hinata would run into the smoke as she would find Naruto. Naruto was on one knee and he was clearly panting, and although Naruto couldn't see Hinata, as only his one Kuroime was activated, Hinata could see him. Panting on the ground and clearly bleeding. She felt a little bit bad, but she couldn't let her emotions get in the way of the battle. You see, she also gave her word that she wouldn't hold back, and it was a mutual thing. And so she ran towards Naruto, panting or not, kicking him up into the air and kneeing him in the gut. Naruto's eyes would slowly roll into the back of his head, but just as they did, they would come back to him. He regained consciousness in just a second. He would punch Hinata back, which caught her off guard, punching her right in the face and causing her to rethink her next movement as Naruto appeared behind her. Hinata would use her elbow, pushing it backwards, which would cause Naruto to be hit in the gut and would send him just a little bit far away enough from Hinata so that she could use the gentle fist on him once more, shutting down even more of his tenketsu. It was here that she would use a technique that Naruto had yet to see in his entire life. And although some of you may be asking yourself, how does Hinata know this? She does know this, even if it's not in the canon. She does know this in this timeline, in this moment. Although she does learn this later on, or she already has it. I'm not completely positive. I should know this kind of thing. But she would use... Okay, so quick side note. This technique was actually learned by Hinata. Sorry for the voice crack. Was learned by Hinata after the Chunin exams. She developed the technique during the period afterwards, where she would push herself even harder. In this timeline, she learns it before the Chunin exams so that she can use it here. She practiced the technique around water during her training with Anko to hone it to perfection, as she would use the 8 divination signs, 64 palms of the hand technique. It is this technique that allows her to utterly annihilate Naruto and embarrass him in front of the Leaf Village and the Sand Village. Hinata would emit chakra from her palms and would move her arms in a sweeping pattern to provide a full 360-degree range of protection for her body. This chakra around her would also be able to cut through anything that Naruto attacked her with, let alone kunai, shuriken, whatever. Anything that tried to penetrate the protective spear, including Naruto's own fist, legs, cutting them and causing Naruto to bleed. Basically, a definition / brief description of the jutsu. Hinata will emit chakra from her palms and move her arms in a sweeping pattern to provide a full 360-degree range of protection for her body. This chakra will also be able to cut through most of any target which dares penetrate and, attack the protective sphere. By expelling a more sharper, stronger, and more flexible amount of chakra, she can increase its effectiveness against more massive incoming objects, like, say, a fist from Naruto or a jutsu from Naruto. Naruto would begin to be bluntly beat by Hinata. She began to hit him in ways that he had never been hit before, and with no chakra in his body, almost, the Nine Tails had to step in, pouring in amounts of chakra that Naruto hadn't seen in a while. Naruto was surprised. Hinata was kicking his butt, and there was nothing he could do about it. The attack slowly came to a close, as Naruto's body laid flat in front of Hinata, and Hinata's Byakugan began to dissipate. Hinata fell on one knee. As Naruto raised his hand into the air, it just so happened that Hinata's hand was quite close to Naruto's when his hand was in the air, as Naruto smirked. You really think that I'd let you just embarrass me here? Who do you think I am? If I'm gonna pass out, you're gonna pass out too. I know you've spent too much chakra, and that curse seal on your neck, I could tell it was eating your chakra away, so I made sure not to hold back. Unfortunately for me, you pulled out a technique I hadn't seen before. I was watching you train with Anko. I learned most of the jutsu that you learned. Now what I mean by that is I didn't learn them, but whatever. Point is, I know the jutsu that you have. That I wasn't expecting, so I didn't have a counter. But guess what, Hinata? What? Once I pull you to the ground, you won't be able to get back up. Because of that curse seal. Isn't that right? No, but you wouldn't. Oh, I would? You think you can just beat me up in front of every single villager? It's not even fair. What do you mean it's not fair? I beat you fair and square. Yeah. Naruto would then pull Hinata's hand down into the ground, which would cause her to fall into the ground with Naruto. As they laid beside each other, the match would be called a tie, per the rules of the Chunin exams. The men and women of the village would applaud Naruto and Hinata for their performance, as it was like watching butterflies dance in the wind. Sasuke vs. Gaara goes different. The difference here is quite simple, actually. It's that the Chidori is performed much faster and easier. When Gaara is hit with the Chidori, the plan would be hatched, with the Genjutsu being activated. Naruto and Hinata, as well as Sasuke, would go to fight Gaara. How do they get up so quickly? Well, it's quite simple. Kakashi would carry them and then would give them to, Anko, who has healing jutsu and would heal them enough to where they could stand, specifically healing, Hinata in a way that she knew and would use for her own curse mark when things became dire and when it was eating away at her own chakra, which would actually work for the young Hyuga. As for Naruto, his Uzumaki regen was enough, and all that really had to happen was his chakra points had to be reopened, and that was quite simple for, Hinata to reverse. Sasuke would go to fight Gaara, and in this timeline, Gaara wouldn't be as much of a problem, with Naruto eventually having his iconic chin crawl using Talk no Jutsu on a young Gaara. Naruto and his squad would then be in the hospital for about 2 to 3 weeks, as the third Hokage would survive in this timeline, but would be injured to a point where he has to pass down the role of Hokage, due to the fact that Naruto had injured the former Sannin, Orochimaru, greatly and hadn't fully healed, as well as the potential for Anbu and other high-ranking Jonin like Kakashi or Guy being able to help Lord Third. He survives, and would give Naruto, Sasuke, Hinata, and Shikamaru the rank of Chunin, as during the exams they displayed a very, very deep understanding of ninjutsu, taijutsu, and the ways of a ninja. Tsunade would decide to, leave the village once more, as Naruto would then go with Jiraiya to find her yet again, with Sasuke actually accompanying them. It had seemed as if seeing Orochimaru again had made bad memories arise, as Naruto would be training with Sasuke and Jiraiya, and this is where Naruto would start to add wind to his Rasengan, or at least start to try to, as Naruto would then go to a hotel later that day with Jiraiya, as Jiraiya would be out for the day doing research, with Naruto getting a knock on the door. Being smart enough not to just immediately open the door, he would peek through the peephole, seeing two people with the robe of the Akatsuki, Kisame Hoshigaki and Itachi Uchiha. Kisame would then break down the door, shocking Naruto, who ran out in front of them, running right past them and into a different hallway. As Sasuke would then get back from training, seeing Itachi and going into a blind rage to kill the Uchiha who had murdered his own clansman in front of him. Naruto would tell Sasuke to calm down, not listening to him, as he would then accept it, knowing that it doesn't matter what path he goes on, because, Naruto made sure that he would always be the light in Sasuke's way, as Sasuke would then charge at Itachi with a Chidori in his hand. Naruto was far enough to where he could escape at any moment, but he was also fast enough to where if Itachi had hit Naruto with an attack, he would be able to dodge, and if Itachi had just, hit the person that was charging in front of him, Sasuke, with an attack, then Naruto would be able to help Sasuke and even push him out of the way so that he wasn't hit by the attack. This is where the Namikaze Dojutsu timeline actually ends on my channel, but now it continues further than this, so we can actually now continue. Itachi would dodge, but Sasuke's 3 Tomoe allowed him to see what was coming, and it allowed Sasuke to position his Chidori to still hit Itachi. It would be here that Itachi would yell in pain, as he would tell Kisame to run. Kisame wondered why, as he would feel Naruto's blade slice him, looking around only to see a yellow blur encircling him. This blur would quickly reveal itself to be Naruto, as Naruto would punch Kisame fast enough to where he could not react to the damage, which was enough to stun him. He would then throw Samehada at Naruto, which would cause Naruto to dodge, watching Samehada try to eat the debris in the hotel building. Naruto now knew that the blade had the ability to eat things, most likely chakra or human flesh, as, wild guesses. Naruto would then unsheathe his blade with his right hand as he created a shadow clone with his left, sending the shadow clone towards Kisame, who would react by picking up Samehada and slamming it into the chest of the shadow clone, which would sliver up the shadow clone, as Naruto clearly watched Samehada chow down on the chakra of the clone and watched his clone become a shriveled up prune right before his eyes and disperse and implode into nothing but smoke. Naruto said nothing, as he now knew that the blade that Kisame wielded could quickly absorb chakra. He used the smoke created by his own shadow clone per its destruction to his advantage, rushing towards Kisame and cutting his dominant hand right off, which left the blade Samehada on the ground. Naruto then locked eyes with Kisame through the smoke, who now had a smirk on his face. Kisame quickly grabbed Naruto, choking him, holding Naruto now high in the air by his neck, as Naruto would kick his feet. He struggled to break free. It would be here that Naruto then closed his eyes. Kisame thought that Naruto was now trying his best not to pass out, but little did he know he was about to face a monstrous force, that on the level of a true Jinchuriki. Kisame's hand began to burn, letting off smoke, but Kisame continued his grasp, tightening it further as Kisame's skin then began to boil. He let go, causing Naruto to fall to the ground, as all Kisame would see was a red blur. He now stood still, with Naruto's blade through his chest. Naruto still said nothing to Kisame, who coughed up blood. Kisame would tell Naruto that he was a part of the Akatsuki, a group that has the goal of collecting the Jinchuriki. Naruto then applied chakra to his fingertips as he apologized to Kisame, slicing his head clean off. Now you may wonder why he told Naruto that. Well, it's because he was surprised to find a Jinchuriki here. He had no idea that Naruto was the host of the Nine Tails. Now, again, why would Naruto kill Kisame here? This makes no sense. He's not in any bloodlusted form. He's just fighting Kisame. Why would he kill Kisame and cut his head clean off here? Well, it's actually quite simple. Naruto would kill Kisame because Kisame just admitted to his face that he's a part of the group that is trying to kill him and his fellow Jinchuriki. So I see no reason why Naruto, bloodlusted or not, or well, anything, would leave Kisame to just walk around and collect his, well, fellow Jinchuriki, or even possibly attack him. Naruto would then appear beside Sasuke, activating his Kuroime, as Sasuke was clearly now bloodlusted. Naruto would look at Itachi, then back at Sasuke, who would tell Naruto that this is his battle. Naruto would shake his head, telling Sasuke that Itachi isn't who he believes he is, as Sasuke would tell Naruto that he doesn't give a damn, with his hand still firmly placed through Itachi, Chisori lightning, still lighting the room with blue sparks of electricity. As Naruto would karate chop Sasuke, knocking him unconscious. It would be then that he placed Sasuke on his back, staring down at Itachi. The two looked at each other for what felt like hours, as Naruto asked when he would see Itachi again, blood still dripping from the wound. It appeared to be a shadow clone. The real Itachi then revealed himself. Itachi said nothing, but he would eventually tell Naruto that he was unsure, but that they will meet again, sooner, much sooner, rather than later. Naruto would then go on to tell Itachi that he knocked Sasuke out for his own good, and that he will be telling Sasuke exactly who Itachi really is. Not the brother who massacred the entire clan to test his newfound strength and prowess with his newfound Mangekyo Sharingan, but rather the older brother who sacrificed everything, including his own ties to his family and the Leaf Village, to protect his own little brother, and to ensure that his brother survived. The brother who acted only in the place of love, the man that sacrificed everything for his little brother, the man who was forced into killing the clan by the corrupt village officials. Itachi then spoke once more, asking Naruto if he truly believed, after hearing all that Sasuke would still be an ally to the Leaf Village. Naruto then turned around, looking back at Itachi. I don't know. Sasuke's Sasuke. Once I tell him, will he still love the Leaf Village? No. Maybe he won't. But maybe he will. If he turns on the village after hearing what I have to say, then he has every right to do so. The Leaf has taken everything from him, just as they took everything from me. It's only natural that he would resent them for what they did. He would hold them responsible for the death of his clansmen, and even for the death of you, for the death of his mother. The death of me? Yes. He would realize that it was the Leaf's politics that made you this way. That you weren't the person who Sasuke grew up with anymore. The corrupt elders made you this way. That's what he would see. He would see the way that the war-riddled world made you. He would see that it made you this way, that it corrupted you, that it turned you from the loving brother into a murderer. And even into what some would consider a monster. Even if I know you to be a true hero, Itachi, one who doesn't need a cape to protect those who he loves. In almost every action I've taken since knowing the truth about you, whether it's taking Kisame's life or helping an old person cross the street, I think about what me doing said action will result in. On one hand, me helping the old person is a kind deed with no hidden agenda. Besides, helping someone and possibly even making their day on the other hand is, well, it's just being kind. Just like is killing an Akatsuki member someone who I know only means to harm me and the Kyuubi that lives inside me and my body is one action. You see, one action was done through purity, while the other was selfish. I helped the old lady because it was the right thing to do. I killed Kisame because it was the right thing to do for me. selfish, survival, and practical thinking. I killed Kisame, your partner, because I knew the threat he posed, just as you killed your clan because you knew the revolt they were planning, and a civil war that could be caused, and how that could result in the village being destroyed entirely, which would just create even greater amounts of casualties. In some ways, it's an everlasting cycle, Itachi, that may never break, but I promise I will end that very cycle of hatred that creates people like you and Sasuke, or even me and Shisui. Shisui Uchiha. Goodbye, Itachi. And don't forget, I have the Koto Natsukami. So if things go south with Sasuke, I do have a secret weapon to stop him. And by all means, I will. Don't be a fool and think that I don't care about the Hidden Leaf Village. I wish to protect it at all cost, one day. I want to be the Hokage. But I also know that to do that requires great sacrifice. If I am to ever don the Hokage uniform, if I am to ever do and become the 6th, that is a sacrifice I must make. That which only men who display a quiet conviction, that which only women who display a quiet conviction such as you represent. I am Uzumaki Naruto, and our conversation is over, Uchiha Itachi. When we meet next, it may be on a battlefield, or it may be on your deathbed. Not to say a bad omen for you, but be careful. This world gets more dangerous by the day. And for that very reason, after we retrieve the Lady Tsunade, he will become Lord 5th. I will use all of my authority to present a new ninja system. One which protects the youth of this village in more ways than they ever have been protected in the past. I know that Lady 5th will sympathize with me, that she will understand me. She's the one who made it so that medical nin were on every team during the war anyway, right? Regardless of what I have to do to ensure it, no genin should have to face Kage or even just Jonin level ninja. It's the very reason that the past saw so little ninja grow to be older than the age of 14. As a genin, I have fought one of the legendary 7 ninja of the swordsman. I have fought you. There is no reason why I should encounter such threats as just a genin. You make a great point, Naruto, but you promise that on your way to creating a reliable future for the youth of the Hidden Leaf Village, that you won't be persuaded by the darkness, that your beliefs won't falter. You do not know that. I do know it, because I know who I am. That's just my Nindo, Itachi. My ninja way. Fine. You speak of ninja, Nindo, and your want of protecting new genin. Your want for protecting the people of your village. It's admirable, at best. But it's one thing to sit here and tell me that you wish to do these things. It's another to actually do them. Naruto said nothing, but he looked down to the ground as Itachi continued. You must ensure that you yourself never become corrupt and riddled with hatred along the way of bringing peace to this world. You must promise me that you can do that you can remain the light at the end of the tunnel whilst walking surrounded by the darkness. To be there at the epicenter of that darkness and to still remain kind-hearted and warm as if you were a bright lantern in the dark sky. A bright lantern in the dark sky that no one could destroy. It took me like 3 times just to say lantern. I don't know why. Apologies. Naruto would reply again with a heavy silence. You see, Naruto, because everything you speak of is amazing. Great ideas, might I add. Will you actually be able to fulfill that without losing yourself along the way? Promise me that. Yes, I will. I promise you that, Itachi. It would be here that Naruto would run out of the hotel and find Jiraiya, who he would explain the situation to. Afterwards, they would return to the building, finding nothing but Kisame's dead body, as Jiraiya now grew wary of the Akatsuki and how aggressive they have become at hunting the beach. Excuse me. This became a powerful enough issue that Jiraiya believed that he could hold a Kage summit. For this information, some time would pass, and Naruto would return to the Leaf Village. This time with Sasuke, Tsunade, and Jiraiya, as Tsunade would be accepted as the 5th Hokage of the Hidden Leaf Village, with the young people in the village loving that she was the first female Hokage of the Leaf, which showed the passing of an old torch to a new torch, the passing of the old era, and the old people of the village accepting the new era. Speaking of the old people in the village, they loved Tsunade for not only her immense beauty, but they respected her as one of the legendary Sannin, and for her power, but also for the fact that she was the granddaughter of the 1st and 2nd Hokage, respectively. Now, with that being said, this is where this part will end. The rest of What If the Namikaze Clan Had a Dojutsu will either be found in Part 5 and 6, or will be found in the movie. Part 5 and 6 may never come out. With that being said, they might just be compiled into the movie just to save time. I hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, as that would be deeply appreciated. Share the video to a friend who likes for this, or just anime content in general. And with that being said, we can now continue if you're watching the movie. But if not, then, well, that's that. Rami X.